Welcome to Strange Tales from Outer Space, episode 37. My God, we have a horrible choice in intro music. Let's address that right now.
It's completely out of our control.
Right. I have nothing. I mean, I was dancing like a crazy fool, but those are lyrics.
Oh,
We
yeah.
just educated ourselves on the illustrious poetry of Little John earlier today, but whatever. My name is Doc, and every week I get together 3, sometimes 4 awesome people, and we talk about the week that was and the week that will be in WildStar. With me, as always, my other co-hosts, Indigo,
Hey, guys.
Krug,
Bubble butt.
and this week we have the illustrious Mer das Moose.
The only official... The only official...
What is that thing?
That cup's so big.
That or Moose is just that small. We don't know.
This is actually
It's normal
2.5 feet
size.
tall. It's a normal
normal
size
size.
cup. Yeah.
My God, that cup is amazing. That cup is amazing. So typically, for those of us that are new to the show, we go through all the week that was and week that will be. And in this case, we're doing a part 2 on Invasion Nexus and all of the awesome notes that came in, and a few also little extra news and bits that came in this week. First and foremost, though, we always find out what's going on with you guys. So, Moose, how was your week last week?
Good. I finally figured out what that smell was coming from my closet. So that's always a good thing. Not going to get into details about it, but
I've already explained. There's plenty of desert in Arizona, and that's all I'm going to say.
he's not wrong.
And that was your whole week?
That was it. That was literally
That was it. That was the whole thing.
I love
Nothing
Moose.
else happened.
What about all the time we spent together this week? Killing everything that moved.
Yeah, it wasn't that memorable. The
putting it-
smell was
That smells pretty
The
powerful.
smell was atrocious.
Krug, how was your week?
My week was pretty good. Indigo and I actually had a fun little night in WildStar for a couple hours. We went to Grimvault, and I'm still in my mid-30s. So we didn't go to Grimvault. I went to Grimvault by myself because I wanted to. And I started trying to kill stuff, and I actually killed a couple of things, and it was really fun. And then I started dying a lot. And so I was like, Indigo, help me! Help me! And so Indigo came and helped me. We ran around Grimvault just, like, doing quests for Indigo, and I was just tagging along, like, healing him and switching back and forth between heals and deeps and helping a little tiny bit. So that was fun. I've actually encountered a problem with my WildStar where my frame rate is kind of taking a huge dump, and it's weird because I'm trying to think of something that I've changed in my environment, and I can't think of anything. Like, a couple weeks ago, I moved to a wired Ethernet connection, which I recommend for everyone.
Yes.
But my frame rate didn't change when I did that, and now, just randomly, it did. So I'm still working on that and trying to figure out why that's happening, because it's annoying.
Are you
and
sure
I've
it's
gotten
not
a lot of-
related to an add-on update? Because there have been a few add-on updates lately that have been kind of wreaking havoc on the game.
And I thought that was it, and instead of, disabling all my add-ons and re-enabling them one by one, I just went into PTR, and I tried it in PTR, and it doesn't seem to change anything. Like, PTR is also laggy as F, and the only things I have installed in PTR are Rune Master and Candy UI, but they're both disabled. So, I don't know. I'm just gonna, like, reinstall the game and, like, start from scratch and, like, just see what happens. I know I'm, like, the last person to just, like, brute force a problem like that, but I'm just getting sick of it. I'm just gonna start from scratch.
True.
So that was
And
my week.
Indigo, how was your week?
Good. I hit level 48 before we started tonight, so that's been really fun.
Nice.
I'm
what, your third character, fourth character?
It's my third 50. Well,
Jeez,
I mean, it will.
Willie.
I mean, Moose on the other hand has got one of everything, but yeah, it's a completely different story.
He leveled
on
all
the
of them through
six.
shipping.
yeah.
So no, I did that, and I've got my girlfriend's sister's in town, so we did the whole Disneyland thing, and they're out watching movies because they're like, oh, you're gonna be doing that stupid live stream thing, so we're gonna leave. I was like, all right, whatever, get out of my hair. But no, that's going on with me. What about you?
Not gonna make any comments.
So I've had a pretty busy week. I've decided to fully embrace my drinking persona when it comes to apparently podcasting. So I've got with me Black Phoenix this week. And
This is your week. This is your week's gonna start with alcohol.
Exactly.
Starts
This is
and
the
finish. Starts and finishes.
It's the only, yeah, it's Sunday nights. It's the time you start for next week and you end from last week.
Oh, buddy.
I just like how you said it's persona. Like this is your personal Batman.
Right? That's the whole problem. That's how he identifies
if I don't
himself.
admit it.
Alcohol, man.
Anyway, it's really
We
good.
need to talk about that.
I did a lot of PTR this week with Moose. We went over some of the cool warrior changes. We went over Starcom Basin, did a stream on it. I did some more attunement on my third 50 as well. Hopefully I got all three of them are so close to getting ready for genetic archives. It's not even funny. I've been doing a lot of weight loss stuff since December, so it's finally paying off. My clothes are fitting, so I don't need to worry about diets. So I'm happy for that.
Woo!
And I know we've talked about this once or twice in passing, but if you are in the Los Angeles, San Diego, Orange County area, WonderCon is happening in April, early April. I'm going to be going.
Oh yeah, you got tickets?
Yeah, I got a friend who was talking to me. He's like, hey, I need some help with something, and in exchange, I'll give you a weekend pass. I'm like, okay, cool, so I'm going to go. If anybody from Carbine or any fans are going to be in the area, I'm down to say hi or go out and do a bar, because...
For those who listen to the audio version of the podcast, he paused his speaking specifically to take a sip of beer, effectively derailing the podcast and giving me a chance to make it even worse by having this conversation with you.
Exactly. And that is the end of our weeks in WildStar. How about this week in Strange Tales?
That was the least bombastic I've ever heard you do that before.
Yeah.
Maybe you've had too much alcohol.
I'll tell you,
Listen for a while. I've heard him do worse.
We have two. You should have heard it
Not-
back when it was just an audio podcast and we could do multiple takes. Oh my god, some of those were garbage.
No help. No. Strange week news. Anyway, in our living lore and expanding lore in WildStar, we have the ravaging of Arborea. And here's where Indigo is always falls asleep.
That's good.
You know what?
I
was on Wildcast this past week, and they didn't give me this kind of reaction. We went on a whole big old thing with that, and F you guys.
I'm sure they did. I'm sure they did.
Hey, I'm actually here, so you actually have somebody who loves the lore with you.
There you go.
Oh,
Just like
it's amazing.
Krug and I will take a nap.
So, for those of you who aren't paying attention for that, every week they have a new installment of the ever-expanding lore that catches you up to the actual time period of the game. This week we kind of focus on Auric Redleaf and his interactions with the Exiles and the Dominion. It's kind of the same thing as Lazarus in the last few weeks. It's not really a piece on the Auran, it's just a piece on a character specifically. And I actually really enjoyed it this week, and I don't want to really admit that out loud because it's all about the Auran. Yeah, and the only reason why Arwick is now officially...
enjoyed the Auran.
I never
That's
liked the
enjoyment
Auran, I don't
of the
know why. But Arwick has become the standout, one of my favorite characters in this game now, just based off this little piece of lore, because he doesn't like anybody. He doesn't like the Exiles, he definitely doesn't like the Dominion, he despises the Chua. He only really tolerates everything, and if he had his way, he would have killed everybody, kept the Matria back on Arborea, and just left everybody out of it and just stayed there.
Yeah, I
He doesn't
like
care
him.
he doesn't care for anything. He is officially, in my opinion, the Wolverine character of WildStar. He hates everybody. It's pretty interesting. At least I'm inferring that, and it kind of shows off. Kind of shows off that in the lore. It gives Mondo Zax a brief introduction, which makes me really interested to see what happens if they ever decide to let those two characters meet in game in a story thing.
Oh,
And
God, that
Moose-
would be great.
Right? I don't know if you read the lore or not this week. What do you think about it?
I think, if anything, more than Orin, it made me want to play a Chua more than an Orin, because that was awesome.
Wow.
Just reading about, I'm all about death and destruction and the bad guys, so, and the Chua are bad guys. There's no way around it. I don't see how anybody can try and spin it where the Chua are anything like a good guy. But
Yeah,
there's such great sociopathic bad guys, I want to play one.
Yeah, it kind of it's great because they take the archetype of the cuddly, cute animal or creature and just flip it on its head, and they're unabashedly, as a race, just cold, calculated. They don't care as long as they get to just do whatever they want. And it makes me want Arwick Mondo Zax showdown in this game somehow.
They're like Wile E. Coyote on acid if acne products work more often.
It's actually very, very true. It's like a good version of World of Warcraft's gnomes and goblins. Their shit actually works. But yeah,
they look like they're about to fall asleep. Man.
yeah, they're almost done.
Sorry, I just behind the scenes Bo.
Oh well, behind the scenes, you were saying.
Sorry, I got weirded. Disconnect weird.
Yeah, we all did. Yeah. No, there's been some weird stuff going on. Basically, we've heard all the audio that you guys have said, but the entire like visual has just kind of just went, no, I'm done.
So this is why doing stuff live is hard. Because crap like this happens.
Yeah.
You'll fix it in post.
Once Doc, can you turn your video on, please? Skillet.
Yeah.
There you go. Attaboy. Now we'll just have a bunch of loading screens for a bit.
That's all right. It happens.
Hey.
Yeah.
Hooray.
Only thing I have an issue with the lore, as always, is the fact that it never is enough. It always gives you just 3 little paragraphs and then it cuts you off. The only difference between this lore and, say, the establishment of the Exiles is that you don't get that blue ball cliffhanger. You know Auric lives. You know Mondo Zax lives. You don't know if Brightland lives. It's just, give me more. I'm going to turn on my light in a little bit because this is really dark.
No, so I apologize, guys. We have to actually stop and recall. We have to actually stop and recall. So, hey, everybody, I'm going to do a song and dance. Maybe? No? I hope you enjoy my song and dance. Yeah? Indigo? Yeah? Maybe?
Maybe?
Maybe? Maybe?
Yeah.
So it was Skype was a D-bag and was like, hey, you need a premium account to do that. And I was like,
Yes.
You're a lying sack of shit.
Why is Indigo Jones in here twice? I'm going to remove this person from this
Doesn't
group.
matter. We don't really need even more than them to begin with, but whatever.
Oh,
Boom. And Master, good job with the 1 raid boss. Yep, good job. Yeah, that's how we do things. Anyway, let's move on from the living lore, and we'll move on to some of the cool new stuff that's been data mined and talked about in this week in WildStar. Das Moose has been doing an amazing job on our Tumblr and doing awesome little videos for YouTube showing off some of the really cool trinkets and toys that you get to acquire throughout PTR. So thank you very much for doing all that, man. It's awesome.
I am also going to, as soon as I can get back into Twitch, because everything on my end crashed, I'm going to actually send a link of the post that has all of Moose's videos that he's been putting out for PTR, all put together in a one friendly, handy-dandy post.
And the reason
for making that too.
Yeah. And the reason why we bring that up is because there's been a new thing data mined this past week on possible weapon effects. So a lot of the community has been talking about saying, we want to do these really cool weapon effects on our weapons, like kind of like other games have, where when we shoot it or when we don't have it, or when we have it like sheath, there's like cool sparkle effects and lightning stuff. And I can give or take it. I don't mind it. It's a cosmetic piece that, I don't know, I can give or take. I don't know what about you guys?
I haven't seen it yet. So I think I should go last.
Just the opinion on that.
As long as it's optional.
Yeah, I mean,
That's something I hated in Warcraft was your weapon enchants had to always be seen. There was no way to toggle it off. And I remember, like, it was at the end of Kata, there was some enchant that was supposed to have earth falling off of your sword. Wound up looking like a lot of little poops falling off of your sword. I just didn't want another poop sword. If I can avoid another poop sword, I'll be happy.
I am going to take the opposite stance and say that every enchantment should look like Poop Sword. Every single one of them should look like Poop
You
Sword.
son of a bitch.
And it should be 100% mandatory. Your armor should look like Poop Sword. And just the obvious, obviously your pants should look like Poop Sword pants with little poos coming out of your little poo butt.
Oh my God, are you? What is
New
your
debuff.
fixation on butts?
Honestly, I don't really have that strong of an opinion on this. I think they could do a really good job and make them like amazing, and everybody would love them. And I think they could do a really horrible job, and they would affect frame rate and look bad, and nobody would like them. And it really just depends on how they implement. Like, this is just all up to them as to how I feel about it.
Yeah, I gotta agree. I gotta agree with Moose in saying that I like them as a purely optional idea. I like them as you can just like buy the enchant if you choose to and just enchant your weapon for it. I would also prefer weapon dies. Like Indigo's been kind of championing for a while now.
A weapon and mount dies. That's what I've been pushing for.
Mount dies, I'm not too sold on. Weapon dies, I'm cool with. Do I really need like a cotton candy pink war woolly?
Why the fuck not?
Fair point. They haven't shown us any particle effects per
Problem
se.
with pink?
No, nothing wrong with pink. I got a little girl. Everything's pink. Everything's pink. Everything's pink. Everything's pink. Anyway, they haven't given us any particle effects, but they've given us really cool, awesome names like Earth Dust, Earth Fire Burn, Loftite Crystal. That just like kind of stuff like that. That kind of hypes it up for what it could potentially be. We haven't seen them yet on the PTR. I'm pretty sure. My assumption is they won't be seen for Invasion Nexus. I don't know about you guys.
And I'm fine with that. Okay, there you go. Done.
They also added this really cool, awesome particle effect called Dead Air. We're piloting it here right now on STOS live. You got to see it first.
Nothing like a complete crash of a program to just like throw off the groove, right?
It really does. I fucking hate it so much.
Dude, and not only that, like the video is still really effing
the
dark,
video's
and I
dark,
can't
right?
tell why.
I don't understand it either. It makes
Damn
no
you,
sense whatsoever.
Skype!
Everybody turn on more lights to compensate. And then it'll go back to normal. It'll just be like blindingly bright and whatever. Gee, you suck.
Let's move on. Let's move on from
Yeah,
that. And
fine.
some other new cool stuff that popped up this week. We actually have possible new PvE rune sets. Now, rune sets. For those of you listening, Moose just turned on his phone light.
Bruce, I'm going to be 100% honest with you right now. That looks a million times worse.
And with these new PvE particle effects, or new PvE effects, I should say, rune sets, there's 3 different types. They kind of fit into the healer, DPS, and tank archetype, respectively. And their 3 names and the 3 effects are called Protonation, which is actually going to help healing by applying a new ability or buff called Developing Bond on critted allies. That will increase your heals and convert a portion of it into shields. Also, it's going to increase your hit severity when you have enough of the Protonation effect in your rune set. Ionization is going to apply a new thing called Sore Spot on a critical hit target. Targets that are hit have Sore Spot, and they'll take additional damage by something called Follow Through. And then when you get to enough points of the PvE rune set in there, it'll increase the crit hit chance as well. So basically, we're just going to keep poking you, and then I'm going to poke you, and then I'm going to do more damage to you. And for the tanking rune set, it's called Isotopic. It riposts to deflect attacks back to the attacker. So think of it like a mirror effect. If you hit me, I'm going to hit you back for a part of it. And it'll actually, when you have enough rune sets of Isotopic in your armor, it'll actually proc a new buff called Battlefield Assessment, which will give you and 3 more allies an absorb shield, which is really interesting, which could have some really cool effects for PvP. Opinions or thoughts?
I don't know
Sounds good.
the numbers behind it off the top of my head, but that sounds like something that has the potential to get really out of hand really quickly.
So here's the thing with the rune sets. We've mentioned before back in beta, they were super strong. And for some reason, the community talked about it enough that Carbine said, maybe they're too strong, and then really brought them down to kind of obscurity.
Mm-hmm.
Like right now, we have stuff like Assassinates and Spell Surge or something like that, or another spell something, that have an effect, but aren't really that important, or...
The video's randomly bright again.
Yay, technology!
Anyways.
Let there be light.
I literally have been sitting here Googling how to solve it, and I just clicked, and it just...
So basically, rune sets have been kind of useless. I mean, they're just kind of there for flavor. I don't really notice it. I'm really hoping, numbers-wise on PTR, they're all subject to change, but the new effects and what they could actually bring to the table sound very interesting, especially Isotopic. If you're talking about a PvP tank with Isotopic, that small shield helps for part of hits.
So, okay, so now that I'm fully into the podcast now and not distracted by 15 other things, I actually can, I feel like I can actually talk about this. So the problem with like the rune sets that they have right now is that they're not beneficial at all. And it takes a lot of work for it to get, I mean, because it's like nothing happens. It's like, oh, you get a bonus to something, and then like with 3 of a single type, you then get the first tier of bonuses, and then you get 6 of the same. And so it's really difficult for you to actually like continue to build up and get that, and especially it's a huge commitment money wise and time wise to be able to farm for those specific runes to get that. And so most people are like, dude, it's worthless. I'd rather sit there and mash assault power and max out assault power than having to do with the rune sets. And this has been an issue that they've been people have been talking about for a while. So I think that this is a step in the right direction in making them viable or at least useful. So we'll see what happens.
Or at least giving intriguing abilities for it. Like I said, Isotopic sounds really interesting. If that procs enough, then it could be really cool.
Mm-hmm.
But we're going to move on from there because we're going through the second half of the Invasion Nexus notes, and this is a big doozy. So we've done it before in the past. We've done it before in the past where we go through the PTR class changes. They are not set in stone, but typically it's an outline or a focused attack or a focused plan of attack on something in the classes. And I won't be talking through all of this. Whoever has more knowledge of these classes should obviously take them over. But there are plans for the coming drop for all these classes. So who wants to take on Esper first?
I'll take on Esper. Or do you want to, Krug? Because you have Mesmo.
Mesmo. We can go to Mesmo. Mesmo's still alive on Warbringer, I think. Anyways, we should share. Let's share. Do you want to share?
Sure.
Can we share?
Yes.
I'll go first. So the goal for Invasion Nexus is to lessen the dependency on 8-slot DPS and bring more variation to loadouts. Strong opinion on this. I've heard this many times. I haven't seen it work once. So,
I've seen this on all. I've seen this on all classes, and I think it's important. I mean, other than Warriors, I haven't heard it too much on Warriors, where it's like, you know, my build is 1-1-1-1-1-1, or my rotation is 1-1-1-1-1-1-1-2. I mean, this with Espers, it is definitely a full 8 rotation. I'm intrigued. I want to see this happen.
I want to see it happen, but like I said, previous updates or previous class change direction has stated, oh, we want to make like a more versatile build, a viable build for you to PvE or PvP in. We don't want to have like one specific thing that everybody has to go with. And first of all, PvE, I don't think that's ever going to happen because really that's a numbers game, and there is a way to optimize that number because PvE is predictable. But with PvP, it is possible. It's just that I don't think we've seen it just yet. And like I said, they've said that they were going to do it. I haven't seen it. I really want them to do it. I really want that to be viable. Like, and I want somebody who specs full assault power and full damage to be able to lose to somebody who hasn't, who's done like part damage, part utility. Like they can stun them more, and like, you know, the person who's done full DPS hits for harder, but they don't get a hit as often because they're stunned more, and that is like a legitimate difference. You know what I mean? Like, if that were the case, I would be really happy. But we'll see. We'll see how it's implemented. We'll see what their goals are, or what their specific goals are, and kind of go from there. Do you want to take the next one?
I really want to take Haunt over.
Okay, fine, go ahead.
Well, Haunt will now be instant cast as based while above 2 PP, generating +1 PP at tier 8. Sorry, but shares cooldowns with Pyrokinetic Flame. Basic idea was to give an option to use either ability and lessen the importance of your PF. So I love Haunt, and it's a really fun ability, but making it so that it is a timed cast, and it's kind of got this weird like fork shaped. It's like a circle around you and a straight line.
Yeah, it's a half circle around your character and then a straight line coming out in the middle.
Yeah, and it's a fun ability, but like the timed cast kind of hurt its like viability of it being a legitimate thing. So making it an instant cast above 2 psi points is really important, because it was a psi point like like it basically procced at 2 side points, so you couldn't use it unless you were above 2 side points. Now what they're saying is you can use it, but once you're above 2 side points, it's an instant cast instead of a timed cast, which I think is a really awesome tweak to it, as well as gaining, and then at tier 8 it gains you. I think that allows for a really interesting combo to add in there. You're using your basic attack, building up, you get to 2 side points, you use Haunt, which has this a debuff onto your enemy, adding a side point onto that gives you up to 3 side points. While you're doing that, it can add 2 more and do the flaming bird. I think this adds a lot, but having it attached to another cooldown, I think it's fine as long as it's just basically preventing you from using.
These are really interesting balances. Like this is, unless correct me if I'm wrong, I think this is the first time we've seen an ability attached to the cooldown of another ability. Can anybody else think of
yeah, there's a global cooldown.
There's a global cooldown, but there's not like these 2 abilities share a cooldown.
Yes,
these 3 abilities share. Where's that?
No, they do. Well, give me some time to prep, but those definitely exist. Those
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, this next one I don't think we've ever seen, an ability that relies on your ratio of support power to assault power to decide how it affects you. So Bolster now needs support power to be higher than assault power to generate a side point, which I think that's the first time we've seen a balance tweak like that.
But there's a reason for that. Everyone who is doing DPS espers were throwing Bolster on their loadout just because it gave them
to get side points. Yeah, and that was a totally smart move on their part, Carbine's part, to make this change. I'm just the reason this is exciting for me and that I'm talking about it is because I like seeing them think outside the box to balance these things.
Mm-hmm.
Like instead of just saying, okay, Bolster doesn't generate side points anymore. Boom, you can't use it to generate side points, so your DPS builds need to be different. They're going to say, okay, if you're a DPS build, you can't use it to generate side points. If you're a support build, you can use it to generate side points. Skadoosh.
Yeah.
Which is what support builds really needed.
I think that was really smart. What's that?
I think support builds really needed the Bolster change as well because it'll help them with their finishers. I think it's like Warden, right, needs side points to do these massive heals, and if you can drop a quick Bolster on somebody now, so with the changes coming in, you can get that Warden down faster for doing more healing.
Yeah, I feel like when they were balancing Bolster at the beginning, they didn't expect people to ditch a DPS slot to get Bolster for the instant side points, but everybody ended up doing it. It's been a thing since the beginning.
It's been really nice to have during leveling.
That's true. Very true.
Yeah, it makes encounters a lot faster. I was using that
to take on. That was what like Indigo was using, and I was using occasionally to take on the higher level characters, the alpha characters, and everything else. It made soloing them a breeze. This is going to literally change some leveling habits for Esper characters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And then next we have Reap now generates psi points at base because of Twerk to Bolster. So now you're adding the loss of additional psi points from Bolster, adding it to Reap. Also, I'm okay with this. I honestly, from what I've seen so far, I haven't been against any of the changes. I know as an Esper player, they're really powerful. Really, really, really powerful with the amount of utility that they have, the amount of heal, the amount of damage. They're scary dangerous.
Dan?
Krug, would you like to take the next one?
Oh, I'm sorry. I was reading the chat, being kind of distracted. So, Warden Tier 8 will also give an Absorb when expired, similar to Spectral Swarm Tier 8. Basically, it's making Warden a better option. So, cool, awesome. I'd love to see it used in PvP and how it affects gameplay. Unfortunately, a lot of these things can't really be assessed without seeing them. We haven't actually had the chance to play with any of these, but once we do, it'll be awesome.
Yeah.
And then they said that they're going to make more changes, and that more changes that they haven't announced. So I'm excited to see what those are. Obviously, the changes that we just read off aren't enough to accomplish their goal, which is to lessen the dependency on 8-slot DPS builds. But they said that they're still in the process of making changes. So I'm excited to see what those are, and if that has, if that affects their goal directly, and if we can kind of get something that works out during Drop 5.
Yeah.
Stalker. I've never played a Stalker.
Dude, I'm gonna give that to you, Indigo or Moose. I don't know if one of you guys play Stalkers. I don't really play Stalker.
I
Just worry.
all right, I'll do.
You're alone.
You got a big beefy whole thing to go over then, because we're just got just massively.
My call might conveniently disconnect at that point.
All right, so some really awesome stuff. Nano Skin Lethal now gives a plus 50% crit chance from the 3 seconds out of stealth.
Wow. That's a big number. That's a big number.
No, because lethal was 100%.
Oh, that's a
But
smaller
I
number.
think it was like your next attack though.
Yeah, it was the next attack.
Oh, but this was 3 seconds. So you
Yeah.
could theoretically get 2 crits out of it.
Theoretically, if you have RNGesus on your side.
Which I always do. Are you?
Anyways,
Oh, okay. You could just prayed to RNGs.
Stagger now breaks 2 interrupt armor at tier 4, reducing the cooldown reducing to 3 seconds from 7 seconds when attacking from behind only. This is
Massive.
huge. Like the thing with stalkers is stalkers are really, really awesome, but the problem with them is that they're really, really awesome in exactly very specific situations. So it's like, all right, if you exit your stealth, attack someone from behind, and then you use this ability, you basically kill them. But like it's so like very, very hyper specific.
This is very small.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, I've got to do this.
Yeah,
and
you
then
want high skill cap. You have to attack from a specific position in a very small time window.
Yeah. So, but dropping the cooldown from 3 seconds to 7 seconds is huge. Like,
And with 2 interrupt armors, that gives them another option to be the CC chain machine instead of just spell slingers.
yeah. Well, I mean, if you're talking CC train, you're also looking at espers. I mean, they have the most amount than everyone else. I'm pretty sure. But yeah.
There's a bunch too.
Yeah. Let's see what else. Frenzy tier 4 and tier 8 swapped. That's interesting. Idea is to spread out the point of love around more instead of feeling forced to always bump Frenzy to tier 8. All right, I get that. Nanovirus cooldown slightly increased, but base threat increased by 175%.
To 175%.
Yeah, to 175% from 110. Obviously, to help the quick threat generation for tanks. Good, because they need some help. They need some help bad. Like,
And one more massive change to the Stalkers.
is the Cripple. Cripple now has no suit power cost and cooldown reduced by 0.5 from 1.
2.5.
Yeah, no, reduced to 2.5
Those
from
two
1
things actually
second.
mean the same thing in this one example.
Yeah,
Oh,
Half a second. half a second cooldown
yeah.
for Cripple. What the crap?
that's nuts.
With no suit cost. You're spamming the crap out of
crazy.
that thing on top of everything else you're doing. Ugh.
Yeah, but the thing is all it's really doing, it's doing a little bit of damage, but it's slowing your enemy. So it's not that great. I mean, yeah, it's awesome, and you can continue to slow them down, but it's really easy to get away from it. This is definitely turning the Stalker into the CC train that it should be, which I'm completely okay with. You know, you've got that little thing that you throw out and people get stuck in. You've got
Tether.
you know. You get tether. Thank you for the person that's never played Stalker before.
I know what it's called because I hate it so much.
You've got tether, stagger. You got cripple, which slows them down. They're definitely moving up the CC train. I'm excited.
And that kind of takes some, like, I know originally when they were creating the Stalker, or I know what other games are doing now, is they didn't want to create him, they didn't want to turn him into the Stunlock class that you'd always seen in, say, Dark Age of Camelot, or World of Warcraft, or somewhere else in PvP was involved. So they kind of went the opposite route and went out of stealth, insta-gib, and everyone didn't like that. So they went to, okay, now they're just kind of a skirmisher or brawler. And here, these changes kind of seem like, when you add Cripple and Stagger and Tether, this might be as close to the Stunlock rogue archetype that the Stalkers are ever going to get.
Yeah.
And even then, because it's just a slow and a tether and a stun that only really happens if you can get the right position, there's still enough window of opportunity for other players to fight back and not feel like they're being insta-gibbed.
Yeah, and again, remind you, like you said, it's only dropped down to 3 seconds if you hit from behind. Which again, if you're a Stalker and you're not hitting from behind, you're not playing the Stalker correctly.
Giggity.
You ain't doing it right if you're not doing it behind.
Heyo, rogues like it from behind. Anyways,
Oh man.
medics. I think that's all Krug.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh my
So
God, that makes me so angry this one.
let's go over gamma rays because I think it's a fucking hilarious that Gamma Rays is getting changed again. So tier 8, every third cast has no actuator cost. Just because. Just why not? And actually, that seems to be a trend in this list of patch notes. So Quantum Cascade, and I actually kind of like this change because Quantum Cascade was kind of useless before. It was just like AoE kind of mediocre damage.
It was kind of awesome. I like Quantum Cascade.
I like the way it looks. I mean, it's useful in PvE, but PvP, meh. Unless you had a weird team again that you were fighting against that didn't know like not to stand in enemies' telegraphs. It's just kind of a bum ability, especially because the thing gets smaller. So really, you have like you hit them with the first one, and then it gets smaller, but they've already started running away from you, so it just doesn't hit anyone after the first tick unless they were like stunned right there. So the changes: Quantum Cascade base is
The
global cooldown, and then 0.5 seconds and other spells may be cast during the channel. So while you're casting Quantum Cascade, you can cast other spells, which is a mechanic that we've seen in Stalkers, for example. They can cast Ignite, right? Or
No, it's
Flame
Spellslingers.
Ignite.
Spellslingers can cast Flame Burst.
Flame
no
Burst,
matter
yeah.
what.
Did I say Stalkers?
Yes.
They both start with an S. I do this with every game. I just mix stuff up. 'Cause I'm an
He
idiot.
really does.
I do.
He
It's
really
weird.
This
does.
sounds good. This will be in now.
Yep. So, Spellslingers can cast Flame Burst while casting other spells, and it's a similar mechanic. While casting this spell, you can cast other spells. So, I like that a lot, because if somebody's escaping you, you can kind of like funnel them into a location where you can do something else to them while still attacking them with Quantum Cascade, if that makes sense to you guys. I think it might
Yes.
be useful for field builds.
Oh my god, field builds have a field, quote unquote, field day with this change. All of your fields, Quantum Cascade, whoop, 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 double kill.
It's not even considered a field. The Empowering Aura Amp is being reworked as a critical priority. That's in quotes, straight from Carbine's mouth. Dealing damage to foes applies a mark. When your allies deal damage to the marked target, it grants an empower to the ally. The idea is to break free from raid dependence of stacking up on the medic, so that they get the empowering aura. So basically, they're just kind of changing the way that the buff is applied, so that it doesn't kind of lead to these stupid kind of scenarios where you have to all be in the same like 2-foot radius area, and then have to like it just looks dumb and it doesn't really add anything to the game. And I like that change. And this is what I like about class changes is things like this. The idea for additional future changes will be to balance the building / consuming of actuators and promote more various builds without breaking the class. So right now it's kind of like you have two options as a medic. You go with a build that uses actuators, or you go with a build that doesn't use any actuators, and kind of like that. Those are your two options. I think it would be nice to be able to kind of hybrid a field build and a Quantum Cascade / Gamma Rays build, and get kind of the best of both worlds while not like being perfect at either. But there has to be some kind of change for that to happen. Right now, it's not really a viable thing because of the way the amps are set up. A lot of them are, if you have 4 actuators or 3 or more actuators, you get a buff. Or if you have less than 2 actuators, you get a buff. They're based around either you have all your actuators or none of your actuators. There's a couple of them that are like, if you're between 2 and 3, if you're somewhere in the middle. So it's kind of hard to build around a build that relies on both, because then your amps are spread out all over the place and you're not really optimizing one thing.
Yeah. And speaking of Quantum Cascade, it sounds insane where the global cooldown is half a second now. You can cast other spells once you cast Quantum Cascade. The tier 8 second tick has no actuator cost. You can drop your fields down, drop your Gamma Rays, drop your Quantum Cascade. That's so much potential burst.
The cooldown for Quantum Cascade is based in your actuators. So it's not like you can just spam that thing. Like, you need to have actuators up. So you can use like maybe 5 ticks if you get like your procs up. You can do 5 ticks.
But I'm thinking of more
use passive and then 5 more ticks.
Yeah.
That's it, and then you have to rebuild your actuators. And so there's like a built-in cooldown into that. I don't think a cooldown for the ability is necessary.
I'm a little concerned about it only because, like you just said, pop your innate, like you pop Quantum Cascade, drop your fields, pop Quantum Cascade, then you hit your innate again, pop Quantum Cascade again, and then use other abilities.
That quick? Your innate has a long cooldown.
You could,
but like a 2-second cooldown. That'd be nuts.
No. But I mean, like the first time you pop it. It's a lot of front end on that, and I think that could be potentially be broken.
Medics needed some bursty.
Okay.
If they're not going to raise time to live, medics need more burst.
Fair point. Just a point on that. Carbine has also kind of seen a potential for this that we might be hinting at. So they're asking for any and all kind of feedback on this kind of change of the PTR, so they can balance it just right, so we don't have an out of control issue when it goes live.
Which is fine. I think they should give that kind of request for every change ever made about the game.
Yeah. So I'm gonna take over the Spellslinger changes for Drop 5. Now this one is much more targeted than the other stuff. Every other class has kind of had a general sweeping change. Spellslingers, it's honed in. There's a specific reason for what they're doing for Invasion Nexus, and that involves the ability Void Pact. Now, I don't even remember what Void Pact does in live right now. That's how much I use Void Pact. I've never bothered to use Void Pact. The utility amps, I occasionally, rarely use them, but they should be there and usable. And they're noticing the same thing. The trends in a lot of Spellslingers is utility amps and Void Pact are pretty much ignored because Assassinate's insane, and I believe it's Healing Salve or Healing Torrent as the unlocked ability for the heal tree, support tree, is really, really good, and Void Pact just gets ignored. So they don't think it's feeling impactful, so what they're going to do is this. The Tier 4 for Void Pact is going to reduce the cooldown for all active assault and support abilities by 50%. And the Tier 8, and Tier 8 is going to reduce Void Pact's cooldown by 10 seconds. Now, if you're running a utility assault build in PvP or utility healing build in PvP or PvE, Void Pact now has an actual point to it. Basically, you throw that in like your 8 slot just in case. You run your whole rotation, Trigger Fingers is going as fast as it can, but then you realize, oh my god, there's so much burst happening. You hit Void Pact, all of your stuff gets cooled down in half. Throw in Trigger Fingers, throw in any of the new amp changes, and then all of your abilities are essentially back on. Then you hit Tier 8 on Void Pact, and it goes down again by however long. It could even be as much as half. Throw in your other utility cooldown amps, and like you're sitting there, you theoretically, in the optimal conditions, Void Pact can keep your uptime and your either healing over time or assault over time in this great state that Spellslingers are having a bit of an issue with sustained damage. Yeah?
I have a question. Void Pact is a field. Does that effect apply to everybody in the field too? Because that'd be nuts.
And what I understand at the moment, it doesn't say specifically to everybody, specifically to the Spellslinger himself.
Okay. I mean, I normally don't speculate this hard, but that would be super broken if it was
if Void
this
Pact
field gives everybody 50% cooldown reduction. Suck it. Boom. And then you have like all these Spellslingers that are just like layering them one on top of the other, and then it's just like 50% cooldowns. You always have one Void Pact active. Oh my goodness, that'd be nuts.
That's where you need Suck It actually in the tooltip.
Void Pact, the just really like size 2 font Suck It.
Yeah, PvP. If you're running like a heal build for PvP or a healed utility build, Void Pact is gonna give all of your CC abilities and all of your healing abilities, along cooldown ones, much more time up and much more healing, which is going to make Spellslinger very...
You're going to run out of focus immediately. It's just... I'm out of focus.
Damn it. But to help with that, utility amps are bringing Torque to help resources survive. Try that again. Utility amps are being retorqued to help words like resources and survivability instead of redundancy. I'm getting so excited. I'm going faster and faster. It's a great change. I want to try Void Pact. So, the amps readiness. It's going to increase spell power regen while your spell surged. So the idea is while you are toggling spell surge on and off, while it's on, readiness is going to keep that regen going. So you don't have so much downtime between, I'm out of spell surge. It obviously won't keep you 100% up, but it's going to keep the downtime lower. The amp Speed of the Void and Spell Armor have their ranks switched, so basically the time you can unlock them. Speed of the Void is now going to be a rank 2, and when you have it, it's also going to restore health over time. And Spell Armor is now going to be rank 3. It's going to give you an absorb when you're crowd controlled. And if it's removed in any kind of way, it'll also give you a CC break, which is very interesting. So if you're sitting there going, with spell armor, it's going to help you give you an absorb shield while you're crowd control. So say you get that stagger from a stalker, you have a small absorb shield is going to help you out a little bit. If someone removes it in some way, shape, or form, you also now get a free CC break out of it, which is really cool. Frost Snap and Focus Zone have also, instead of switching ranks, they've switched categories. And the idea is to make Frost Snap much more useful to heal slingers. And the idea is now it's in the assault
Just like the
tree.
jazz hands.
Yes.
Ha! We switch everything on you. It's going to grant cooldown reduction when when all of the foes under the effects of your chill or flash freeze take damage. So if using chill or flash freeze to root them in place or slow them in, say, PvP, Frost Snap is going to actually benefit you now as a heal slinger, because every time someone hits them, you're going to get a cooldown reduction on Frost Snap. So it's going to keep you going with more sustained CC, more sustained damage, more sustained healing. And the last two big changes for spell slingers, the Gate and Arcane Shock are getting some interesting tweaks, and I'm not a big fan of the Gate change. So the Gate tier bonuses are being redesigned. There's no word on specifics for it, but the idea is to retwerk it, especially tier 4, because according to Carbine, it feels too contradictory to what's going on right now. Oh, you can bust ahead and break 2 interrupt armor. I guess that makes some sense. We're gonna just actually get rid of that. So now Gate just
Wait,
gives
contradictory? I don't. Why is it contradictory?
And contradictory to what?
I don't know.
Like to the animation, like you're going into a portal, but somehow something in between your originating point and your end point is hit by something? Is that why it feels weird? Because I've always thought that was weird. Like, I'm going to leave this dimension and come out on the other side, and then just somewhere in between, something is going to take some damage and be stunned.
I always thought of it as the Nightcrawler effect, where you bamf out, you break something on them, and you bamf back in and keep killing them. So they figured,
okay,
yeah,
whatever.
you gotta bamf.
I want to buy Bamf sound effect then.
That to be bamf, bamf, bamf. But yeah, they're getting rid of the 2 interrupt armor destruction from Gate, which really, really sucks.
And hopefully moving it to Arcane Shock?
The idea is now to change it. Yeah, you're right, to Arcane Shock. Arcane Shock is now going to be a straightforward interrupt, and its tier 4 is now going to be the 2 interrupt armor destruction instead of Gate.
That's good. I never liked where Arcane Shock was. Like, I don't like the... I have to hit this first in order for it to be useful. I can't use this ability as the last interrupt. I don't like that. I don't like it.
Okay.
But I guess Arcane Shock would make more sense for having 2 interrupt armor. That way you're not constantly putting yourself out of position, so you can use that and then spatial shift for your 3rd or Gate for your 3rd.
Yeah, I didn't think of that. I guess the number of times that you've gated to stun something and pulled something else is, like, a huge problem.
But I've always ended up saying the first thing. So it makes sense, but I don't like it. I like the idea of Gate being, like, the badass interrupt armor breaker. But whatever. All right, Moose, do you want to take over the warrior stuff? Because we talked a little bit about that on stream on Wednesday.
And don't feel like you have to say every single thing, because
It's like
there's way too much.
Dude, they did a massive change.
Yeah, there's
That Doc did not trim this.
It's awesome.
No, that's the thing. It is actually kind of trimmed down from some of the things that are on there right now.
Yeah.
What are the sure? I'll start. I'll. What's that?
What are the interesting parts of the warrior changes for you?
All of them. I'm a fan of a lot of the things that are coming in. Start with Juggernaut. Passive shield mitigation and active damage penalty removed. Now grants 25% threat boost. No longer affects kinetic energy decay. Duration now 8 seconds.
Numbers.
I don't know.
Eat the
These
numbers.
My eyes just kind of. But,
Basically, no more, less damage. You now get more threat. It lasts longer, and it won't decay your energy.
yeah. What he said. I'm not looking at so wherever he is.
Wherever.
It's hard to tell.
It's like a weird Brady Bunch thing. Here's a story.
Marshall.
Guy named Crew. Okay. Onslaught. Incoming damage and healing penalties removed. Damage buff reduced to 20% from 25%. It's understandable. A nerf there is necessary. Warriors are just they need a little less hit to them.
Yeah.
I didn't get the point of having Onslaught deal more damage to you. So I'm kind of glad that part's gone.
Kinetic energy now has abilities. Excuse me. Use my words. Talking is hard. Kinetic energy has abilities that drain it over time. Power Link is now a toggle. I love this with Power Link. Drains KE while active. Range increased to 25 meters at base. 40 at tier 8. No longer has a max target effectiveness, so range characters can benefit.
Nice.
It's now possible for Power Link to be up on a single warrior 100%, so damage buff reduced to 8%. Tier 4 reduced cooldown if you're innate, if you are the Power Link carrier.
So
Power Link
Love this.
carrier?
you've basically got a Power Link bot
If you're the
in
caster.
raids now.
What's the Power Link? Oh, the caster of Power Link. Gotcha.
Yeah, the caster, yeah. Because unlike actual other abilities in the game, the warrior doesn't have casted abilities. Essentially, Power Link is them shouting at you.
Yeah.
Do
Yeah.
more damage!
And now,
Did you
now
know that if
people
you
that are
connect
farther
your
away
Vent account
casters can-
to your WildStar account and you yell at your raid team through Vent, they get a 1% damage buff?
I'd be yelling at you guys all the time.
Hold on. Where's the troll photo? Hold on.
I'm not.
How do you like this change? I actually really like the fact that it's a toggle now instead of just like a small timed.
Just
I
like
love it.
really subjectively, toggled abilities feel really good to me. I don't know why. I like
I
them a
actually
lot.
thought it was broken at first on the PTR. I didn't realize it had become a toggle, so I was just kind of hitting it. And like, oh my god, it just keeps turning on. Why can't I carry all these power links? It's
Wow.
It's interesting. It's,
Augmented blade. Sorry, go ahead.
no. I don't know what to make of this until I really see it happen in groups and dungeons
Yeah.
and raids. I get the change and why they're doing it. The toggle abilities and the kinetic energy drain are very interesting, and I hope it works out. Because as a warrior, sometimes you have no kinetic energy, or you have all the kinetic energy and not enough things to use it on.
Mm-hmm.
But
But when I'm
continue.
soloing and doing ship hands, I very rarely ever have trouble keeping KP up. So this is a good killer for it.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Augmented Blade is now a toggle that increases KE drain. The longer it's on, active, increases melee damage and lifesteal. Tier 4 increases crit chance 5%. Tier 8 deals AoE tech damage on crits with sword attacks.
Guess who
That's
just
cool.
put Augmented Blade back on their bar?
That splash damage is going to be insane in PvP.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, Augmented Blade was so lame because it was like, superpower and one hit and it's gone. All right, I'm just gonna it didn't give you enough of a bonus for a single hit. It
Cool
just
effect, though.
it looked cool.
Yeah, it did look cool.
It did look cool, but it was just
Does look cool.
I love this. I love the change on that.
So I have a question. Is this abilities, because I don't play Warrior, is this abilities affecting the rate of kinetic energy decay a mechanic that has been in Warriors before? Or do
No.
abilities just use a set amount of kinetic energy now?
Uses
Yeah.
a set amount.
You either need to
In that
have
case-
a minimum amount or it
Yeah.
takes away a set amount.
Right. This is awesome. I love the fact that they're adding a whole new way of kinetic energy to be used, and it's at a rate per unit of time, which
Yes.
that's wonderful.
And this is something else that I don't think a lot of people are realizing. This is causing warriors to want to continue to fight and fight and fight and fight and fight. Because now, like before warriors, yeah, you had that decay that would happen. But now if you have your power link up and you have augmented blade up, you're now decaying kinetic energy way quicker than you were just normally. You know, just using it one time.
Hotline is breeding really, really annoying tanks, basically, is what you're telling me right now.
No, or DPS.
No, what it really is now gives you a window kind of like a spell surge. You pop Power Link and Augmented Blade at the same time if you so choose. It's going to drain the crap out of your kinetic energy, but for that short period of time, you're putting out insane damage.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see how quickly it goes. Like,
Yeah, they didn't put
they
timing
didn't
in
specify
like
how,
rate yet.
how quickly it goes.
And correct me if the wording makes sense, but it sounds like the longer I have it active, the more it drains.
No,
Exactly.
I didn't.
No.
I thought that at the beginning too, but it says that increases. Oh,
Yeah,
Yeah.
it does. The
oh
longer
yeah,
you
yeah,
have
yeah.
Augmented Blade
Did
on,
you copy that straight from the thing?
yes, the longer you have Augmented Blade toggled, the more it's going to drain until
Oh.
you're just out of it. So it's going to be very
I
short.
wonder if there's a ceiling to that, and I wonder if that ceiling is going to if you're at that ceiling, if it's still going to be possible to keep it up 100% of the time, or if it's just going to exponentially increase until you legitimately can't keep it up. Like
Phrasing. That's all I'm saying is phrasing.
You know what? Put your face over your own face.
Now,
Jerk.
granted, all this change to kinetic energy drain means, okay, well, now we're never going to have kinetic energy to do anything properly, but the next change is going to help to fix that.
Which is can't stop, won't stop, will now will affect the drain to 20%.
That's really odd and vague. I don't know what they mean by it, but the idea is to help you with your drain.
I think it just has to do with their new Krug, stop it. I think it has to do with the fact that you've got these toggle abilities now. So I think this is kind of kind of new, and I think it's vague because we don't know what the hell it means. You know what I mean? So we'll see.
Yeah, and then the kinetic burst will now proc 4 seconds instead of 8. So basically, it's going to help you do more damage for more damage for more damage for more damage for more damage.
Hey, warriors don't need to do more damage. They need to do a massively more amount of damage.
Don't already?
No, we do. Well, it's never enough.
Yeah, no. It's like medics not like being able to like stay alive for the entire game, even though the entire PvP team is on one medic, and Krug's just sitting there going, "Yeah, I'm still alive. What are you gonna do about it?"
That was like beta. I could do that in beta and just be like, "Hey, the whole team's chasing me. You want to come help?" No, okay, whatever. So I'll see you in a bit, I guess.
I'll help run down the last little bits of this. Basically, there's gonna be more changes to amps to keep self-sustain going and to keep the warrior alive longer, whether it's soloing or whether it's going to be through raids, so you're not wasting a whole bunch of cooldowns keeping them alive. A few amps are being replaced with new amps. They're going to increase stuff like armor. They're going to increase stuff like your healing, incoming healing, or your lifesteal. Some more interesting parts of the warrior are, because they're doing massive damage in raids, they're going to lower the DPS slightly by stuff like the amp power hitter is going to have its crit severity reduced. Breaching Strikes is going to have its tier 4 reset capped to 2 of them for 3 casts of total. And the amp Detonate is going to be replaced by something called Berserker, which basically will take over the changes they've made to Onslaught. So it's going to increase your damage you're putting out, but it's going to increase the damage you're taking when you're using your innate. So they basically moved the innate mechanic from Onslaught and put it into this new amp called Berserker. Now, I want to really talk about these last 3 changes. And Moose, I want to know what your opinion is on these, because they're goddamn. One of them makes me so happy. And if you want to talk about it first, go for it.
I'm just gonna say in the notes, Doc wrote Whirlwind, best ability in game, spin to win. That's what he wrote, because he's a scrub.
I haven't had a chance to test Whirlwind yet, so I can't talk about it.
But what does it do? What does it? Oh, it's so awesome.
How about I just read?
How about you not be a weirdo and just say, "Hey, why don't you?" Never mind.
Whirlwind's best ability in games, spin to win. Damage buff to keep up with Rampage for 2 to 3 target fights. Will be more powerful with more targets. Now grades 25% movement speed when channeling, and tier 8 pulls enemies towards you. PvP death machines.
Those are some pretty interesting changes, actually.
Yeah.
That is
Tier 8 pulls enemies towards you. That's gonna be fun.
Oh my
God.
god.
Fun, I mean super annoying.
I've been a fan of Whirlwind just because the way it acts in game. But if your tier 8 is pulling people in towards you, if you combo that with, say, Chill or Flash Freeze for a Spell Slinger, and then, say, the Root for an Esper, or a Quantum Cascade Field Meltdown for medics, Whirlwind now becomes the setup for wombo combos.
Oh, yeah, you're right. You can just oh, look, there are a bunch of people here. Hey, why don't you Whirlwind? I'll drop all the fields down right on top of you, and nobody will be able to escape. And they'll just so much damage.
If you've played League of Legends, this is essentially the idea of Jarvan jumping in with an Oriana ball and whipping everyone in towards them.
No one knows what you're talking about. You're done. Nope, you're done. Nope, you're done. You're done. You're done. I could have made a Smite reference before, but I did not. I resisted because this is not a Smite reference.
Hey, Doc, could you go back to lore so it might wake me up a little bit? That'd be great.
Want some ice? Fuck up, Doc. Whoa, what? Who said that?
Actually, there's one thing that Moose and I did see in the PTO, which involves Savage Strikes, which I'm really excited for. Which is so minor. It has a new animation.
Yeah, I saw that.
It's new animation and actually kind of abilities different too.
Yeah, how does that work now? I don't really quite know how that works.
It's just more of like a big splash AoE damage, I think.
Instead of a
compared to
single
the
target.
2 strikes. The only thing I don't like about it is it seems to be the same speed to get it, but it really feels slow. When you're watching the animation in the middle of a fight, you just stop, jump, hit. Now you can cast when you see the hit land, start casting other things, but it kind of feels like when you guys are doing a show and you start talking about lore and these two fall asleep. That's what it feels like for the rotation. So it's good. It's a great ability. I like the change, but
It breaks
just
momentum.
feels slow. Yeah.
Maybe the animation needs to be sped up a little
I
bit.
don't know if you guys noticed this, but you can cast it while you're sprinting.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
PTR, you can cast it while you're sprinting.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
That's cool.
I didn't even like do it on purpose. I was just sprinting and I used it and I was like, "What? Okay."
That sounds like a bug.
I don't know. Maybe
Yeah,
it's not.
so-
Although, if you're doing
Only
Savage
we
Strikes,
have Cadium in chat to tell us.
yeah.
Well, I'm pretty sure you can cast leap while sprinting as well.
Yeah, but all movement abilities you can
I don't
cast while
remember.
sprinting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, right? Is that correct? I think that's correct.
Most of them, it breaks your
It sounds
sprints.
correct.
I think there was a patch where they said that like all of them will be able to be
A
cast.
lot
while
of them do. A lot of them are able to. And just for one more thing for Ripsaw, it's going to be moved to more of a PvP focused skill. That's going to help with a healing debuff and a snare that's going to scale really hard with tier points. It's not really useful at the moment, so they're just going to change its focus to being just it's slowing you down and you get a healing debuff that's going to help counteract heavy healing teams.
Wow. Interesting. Okay.
And-
I can dig
Because I
that.
really miss having that. I love the look of the Ripsaw. You got that thing on your
Yeah.
arm.
Yeah,
Never
'cause-
did to use it now.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think the only time I ever use that thing on my arm is for the chain. Like, is there any other ability other than Ripsaw on that chain that uses the arm cannon?
Yeah.
Oh, there's the laser thing on the tank that you
Your
use.
flashbang grenade
Yeah.
launches from your arm.
Oh.
Your heat shield launches from your arm.
Okay. Okay.
Plum rush launches from your arm.
But none of them are a chainsaw, and that's what's important.
That's very true.
They're all abilities I don't use. Got it.
And
Because again, you're a scrub.
engineers, you guys,
We need to-
I think they kind of much just said engineers are in a pretty decent place right now. So there's not much they're doing at this moment for Invasion Nexus. Eradicate's having a healing penalty removed. Urgent Withdrawal is going to have a lower recharge time, and it's going to have a root break at tier 4. Ricochet is having his tier 8 removed, and then going to be replaced with a self-damage reduction bonus. That's pretty much it. I mean, Thresher's going to pick up the lifesteal for it. Anybody care about engineers? They're like the paladins of Wildstar.
I'm sure people listening care about engineers. None of us play engineer, but
I think Nifty listens, and like her name is Engineer. So
the last name is engineer.
Yeah.
Why do you play a boring class?
Wow. Why you gotta be rude? Why you gotta be rude? Just because they
I-
smash you? Oh wait, every class smashes you.
Oh.
Do I have an app
fired
title
him
in my
if you
character?
die.
I don't have an issue with engineers. I can't play them. Like, that's my only issue. Is I honestly feel that I am slow and clunky. I feel like just really just all right, disability.
I think I instated a small riot in our chat where like 3 people were like, "Dude, I play an engineer. Fuck you, buddy." Like, I'm sorry, I didn't realize people liked me.
Cadium, you even got to Cadium.
Hey, I have a 50 engineer. Okay. Yeah, you're probably gonna have to not come on the podcast.
Please
for a while.
send,
a statement.
please send all hate mail in game to .qt.
His email address is doc, that's DAHK, at qtimes.com. Send all your email there. I'll make sure he gets it.
What about my Twitter?
I'll print it out for him and mail it to him to his house.
Yeah,
Dirty pictures.
I've heard.
$1.
I have heard that it is funner, higher levels, but funner. Yeah, that's right. I know English. Yeah, I know that higher levels it's supposed to be significantly significantly more fun. But I just can't get past the lower levels where I'm just like clunking around. Just like my rotation is like hold the one button, now hold the one button again. You know, like it's versus every other class, which is 1 1 1 1 2 1 3 4 1 5. You know, it's just,
You made that a rap. 1 1 1 1 1 1 2 3 4 5.
Anyways,
Wow.
so finish it off since you already pissed them off. Why don't you finish off the engineer changes?
That's it. That's actually it. Apparently, the engineer class design team and the class design team in general have decided that engineers between Proto Games Initiative and Invasion Nexus, they feel like they're in a pretty comfortable place. So they actually, out of all of the classes, the engineers technically are the most balanced class in the game right now. They've just kind of decided, look, it's obviously isn't all of the changes for PTR.
Yeah.
The ones that we've decided to tackle. And, I mean, Warriors got changed up the wazoo. A massive part of the Spellslinger's kit got changed. Stalkers are now more stalkery. Espers are becoming more... They're switching all their power around.
The worst thing about the stalkers is that they're going to now start watching you through your windows.
That's going to be their 9th ability. It's going to be called Indigo, and the tooltip's going to be a creeper. Super creeper.
I feel like I'm going to end up like that new raid tier weapon, the Marauder weapon with the new engineer Marauder weapon that I said last week looked like they just shoved the shotgun in some guy's butt.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's so funny. With the engineer, all the engineer players right
like
now.
A rib cage. Oh man.
Anyway, I don't know if you guys want to talk about this real fast. The idea of once again we're back to Dead Game is Dead, or do you want to leave it as it is for now?
I think since we have a guest on, I think we should talk about Moose and what Moose does and all the cool things about Moose. Because there are quite a few people in chat that are like, I love me some Moose. I want Moose to talk about housing.
There's no accounting for taste.
Everyone swoons over Moose.
Everyone.
Realize that someone in the chat asked you to have their babies, correct?
No, I missed that.
Yes.
I already
Yep.
have one. I don't want another. So thank you for the offer. You can get in touch with me at tweeting to Moose.
He's also the unsung hero of 0 to 50.
So yes, so I would actually like you to tell us the story of Mayor Das Moose. Where did the mayor come from? I think
the mayor. Who elected you?
Oh, okay. Actually, I did not come up with Mayor. My original server was Avendra.
I'll take a moment of
And,
silence. I'll take a moment of silence. Okay, now we're back.
Pour one out.
Pour one out for my homies.
The two names thing was going in, and I talked, and I was talking in Zone because I talk a lot in Zone, and I'm like, I can't figure out what to do, and everybody started doing this little election in Zone chat, and the consensus was I should be Mayor Das Moose. That's it.
So he
the Avendra
That's where the mayor came from.
Did you make
I am actually an elected official of the Avendra server.
Let's all take a moment and think about how well that went.
For those of you listening to the audio podcast,
Sorry,
Moose is scratching his nose with his middle finger.
I may have pissed off all the engineer players.
Sorry,
You
I didn't
pissed
know
off
what
an
that
entire
meant.
server of players that still exists.
This is the first time we've like berated a guest.
That's because Moose is good with it, because he comes on on Vet with us and harasses all of us. So
There's one person I'm casting my vote for. It is Moose.
So I'm just gonna say the reason I feel okay with doing this is because I have a hashtag called Destroy All Krugs. You have people that want to have your babies. So I think that's horse. Need to bring you down a peg to my level. Destroy all Moose.
I can never get
We're
that
talking
low.
about the first elected official in all of WildStar.
Hail to the king.
Only elected official in all of WildStar, so just putting that out there.
King was one of the titles that
Oh, really?
that was tossed around. So yeah,
Mayor
That's
Das sounds cool. I don't think King Das Moose would sound as cool.
Mayor worked better.
Yeah, I like it.
How did I
Yeah.
not? We actually did play on Avendra for a little while, and I started playing more and more on there. That's where I kind of really got concerned with their whole RP plight when they did the mega servers.
Yeah.
Yeah, Avendra had some awesome, amazing players from there. And if I'm not mistaken,
Some of the best Housers, too.
Yes. And if I'm not mistaken, you guys actually still kind of keep Avendra alive on Entity, right?
I do. I got a little vanity circle that says "Remember Avendra," and anybody who was on Avendra, we still know each other, and we still chat in Zone, and it's always every once in a while, "Hey, remember Avendra?" And then we go back and do our things. Kelzum, if you know housing, you know Kelzum. He was from Avendra, one of the best maze and racetrack builders. Katia was from Avendra, and she just came back to game after actually getting her doctorate. So
Wow.
Awesome.
It's insane.
yeah, she actually left the game to do something with her life. So, she has a good excuse,
And here we are.
and here we are.
Talking about people who make good choices.
And there's a ton of people from Avendra that still, honestly, I think really is. Avendra has kept this game alive through some little portions where people would probably want to write it off. Clover just mentioned Black Dagger Society was a staple from Avendra.
Were they really? I actually
Yeah.
didn't know that.
They've
Well-
hosted the past 2 Thate Fests.
Yep.
Moose has been a very active player in the community. He's constantly on the 0 to 50 stream. Clover's been on Avendra, if I don't remember correctly. Fusspot had a big, if I remember correctly, Fusspot even was a big active player on Avendra. We visited them quite a bit. Our first 2 guests were from Avendra.
That's true.
I mean, they've kind of really set the bar for interactivity with the community in this game. So I really was ashamed that the server went, but the fact that out of every other server, players from Avendra by far and large are the most vocal and the most consistent player base in this game says a lot about the people.
Yeah.
It was very friendly, very accepting server,
So, Moose.
whether you RP'd or not.
Yeah. So, Moose, some people
I
were,
didn't.
wanted you to talk about housing. As someone who has been on your housing plots and completely just like blown away, I'm curious. What are some housing changes you would like to see coming out? I know that there has been the ground changes, which you've posted a video on, the additional building blocks, which will now have the new skins. What are some other things that you're looking forward to or hoping that they do make changes on?
Well, one change I'd love to see. I showed the new skins for like the arches and all that. I don't like them.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't like them. See, the thing is with the arches, I don't understand the mindset that went into the arches. I mean, they're awesome and great for the doors, but arches are the main thing most people are using arches for, are obviously for the curved doors. Problem is curved doors go on walls, so you would think the arches would have the same skins as the walls. The arches actually all have the skins of the floors. Like even the Greenock arch, if you look at it, and
Really?
This is something they mentioned. I did a forum post about it, and I got a dev response. Even the Greenock arch, that's the underside of a Greenock floor. So none of the arches match the walls.
Sure. That is
Why?
weird.
Did they say that was
I-
intentional? That's very
that-
strange.
Yeah, it was a while ago when I did that on the PTR forums, but that's what it's supposed to look like.
I'm trying to think of a reason that
Okay.
would be the case.
That
but
was
I
for the
think-
old arches, so
But the Greenock themes for everything don't look the same as everybody else's. Like I can kind of see saying the exile theme and then the human exile theme are kind of similar, but the Greenock stuff, both sides are different enough where it should have just been normal. But it's odd that they. Anyway, it's weird. It's nitpicky, but it makes sense why you would nitpick it.
I mean, it's not really nitpicky. Like,
I mean,
it's something
not
like that.
I'm gonna
It's like
grab
a
a
huge.
torch and a pitchfork. But
I mean, yeah, it's
True.
not like I'm gonna unsub because these textures don't
quitting
match.
over arches.
But like,
and
it kind of like makes them way less useful. Like, you can't have them fit with the rest of your building, but I don't know. It just doesn't work. I mean, you can use floors as walls, right? That's a thing
Which
you can do.
I've done and a lot of people
yeah,
do.
a lot of
but-
people do.
Yeah. But I don't know. I just think that's weird. I mean, how hard would it be to textures? Like,
Well,
arch
look,
texture one.
If
arch
making
texture.
making arches with wall patterns is going to cost us a raid tier, don't worry about it. But if it's something that we could have, It would be nice.
Dog is like, God damn it.
No, it's not you guys. It's not you guys.
You okay? What?
I'm Hispanic and I have a large family, and about 8 of them just showed up, and they're so loud. They're talking from the other side of the goddamn house.
Well, none of us can
I thought
hear
I
them,
broke
so.
them, but okay.
I thought you guys could hear them. Because
No.
I really, and I'm sorry this is going to be slightly racist, but I really hope a mariachi band just comes into the room right now.
Hey, I'm Cuban. It's not a mariachi band.
I said it was going to
Not
be
on the podcast,
racist,
though.
all right?
So, Moose, I know you have a ton of alts that you turn around and make awesome housing with, which I've been on quite a few. Before you start building, do you have a preset plan, or do you kind of just start building and then let it evolve?
I tried to have a preset plan once, and then I just didn't care to keep updating it. So anything I build, I shoot from the hip.
Sure.
Now, I
Like
have a question.
I know a lot of the big builders out there really plan these things out. I don't. No.
So I have a question about
I
that
don't
too.
plan out anything.
When, Kelzam had said, like, yeah, I sketch it out, and then I kind of block it out in game, and then I do it. I know that there are people that are streaming the game right now. Like, we do streams of PTR occasionally, we do streams of PvP occasionally, or whatever cool content we do. We see a lot of raiders streaming. Obviously, we do the podcast live every week.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that housing would be an interesting thing to stream? I mean, we see success with stuff like city skylines and Sim City. Do you think watching the progress of housing would be interesting to put on a stream?
Well, I guess, again, speaking about Kelson, he does it.
Yeah, he does.
He streams building all the time. And I think it's interesting. There's not a lot of viewers, but there's not a lot of people that are at that place in what is now a regrowing community. So that's something I can't really say yes or no on. That's just time will tell. Let's see where the community goes, and then maybe. I'm giving a definite maybe.
Definite maybe.
Yeah,
I think
things.
it's nice. I think it's like, I'd watch that. And I always think that seeing builds half complete is way more interesting than just seeing them complete. Like, seeing them half done and then seeing them done is 1,000 times cooler for me than just seeing them done.
Yeah.
Because I love knowing the backbone of things. Like, I can't...
Yeah.
Just looking at... I mean, it's pretty, but, like, it doesn't mean anything to me. But, like, seeing all the work
Watching
that
the
went
time they
into
put
it...
into it.
Yeah, is way cooler.
Like those speed builds.
Yeah,
And,
speed builds.
The guy that did the Game of Thrones speed build.
Yeah.
Oh,
Iron
I
Throne,
hated
yeah.
him for doing that.
I didn't see
The
that.
time lapse videos, yeah, they're pretty gnarly.
Yeah.
We had it on the show. We had the link on the show.
Yeah.
Did we?
How did you?
Yes, we did.
This is when we realized that Krug never actually pays attention to what we put on the show, and he just kind of shows up and oh.
But yeah,
You put me off with your microphone?
Yes. I have
but
to talk like this now.
Katie just said, I think time-lapse build videos are a little more feasible. I agree. It would be awesome if somebody did the Twitch stream of the build and then just turn that into, combine the two.
I could see that. I could see that, but I could also see the whole, if you had a personality, like I said, Kelton does do, but I don't know if he talks about his process. If you had a personality who was building, but then also telling you, why am I doing this? I'm doing this for this reason. I'm trying to figure out how to approach this problem I'm having. It would be just as interesting. It kind of goes into the whole puzzle. It's essentially a giant 3D puzzle is what you're doing in housing. It's actually custom builds. You're not dealing with plots. You're not dealing with anything. You're basically taking all of the materials and creating something grand and unique. I'm glad that people are doing it. I was just curious if that actually existed, and I'm glad I've been proved that it does exist. But I'm kind of curious as to how it evolves in the future, like you said.
yeah, I think live streaming it just to live stream it because someone will find it interesting, and it's not like it's costing you any money to live stream you doing that. I think I think that would be interesting, and then past that point, I think recording all of that and then doing a speed run of it, and then discussing it, talking about it, maybe even pausing in specific spots saying, okay, so what I'm about to do is the reason why I'm about to do this is because there's a problem, or because I really want to do this in 5 steps later. So I'm going to start off with this, I think would be really, really interesting and very successful. And if you, the listener, would like to start doing that for Q Times, let me know.
Wow, wait up.
Wow.
That was creepy as F. Something that I saw really interestingly, that really interestingly fits with this conversation in Minecraft a while ago, was people building competitions. Like, they get a subject like moose, and then they would both build a moose. They'd have a specific amount of time to do it in, and then they would see which one's best. You should build a moose. That'd be awesome. I think that would be interesting, like, in housing in WildStar, like, have two sides of a plot separated by a wall, and like have two neighbors on that plot, and they'd have to each build the same thing.
But
So
would
you
the
can
neighbor
give
have
them like
access
build a
to-
spaceship, and then you see who can build the best spaceship, and then like they each get like 500 items to use. I don't know how you'd keep track of that. You would be able to keep track of that, but
5,300 decor pieces.
525,600 minutes. 525,000 moments so dear. 525,600
You're breaking up.
minutes.
And this is when Moose leaves the show. No, it's easy. You can definitely.
Everybody has AIDS.
Anyways,
Wow.
That's all I heard, and I heard that song.
you can easily sit down and say, okay, you're only allowed to use 500 pieces or X amount of gold, and what you do is you turn around and have each one of them stream it, and then you have a judge. And then not only that, if it's your housing plot, you can see how many pieces have been used on your plot. So if 1,000 pieces have been used, you've got 5 and 5. You know what I mean? Something like that.
No, forget judge. You
There's
should
actually
have
something
like
coming into game that would be really useful with that. Remember, they did talk about doing 5-player housing.
Yes.
Yeah, that'd be
So
awesome.
you combine those two things together to make.
Yeah. Well, I mean, hey, this week we're gonna do a Star Wars, AT-AT. If you can make it, go for it.
You know that?
An AT-AT.
Da-da-da-da-da-da.
And whoever has the best one wins, a plat. I think that'd be cool. Just like random little competitions. Doc, what is your face right now? You're just kind of like in this like lull of like either you're buzzed
How
or
many
you're
beers
just.
do you have? Which beer is this?
He's coming down, man.
Which beer?
This is the Black Phoenix.
No. What number beer is this?
This number beer.
No,
it was filled
you-
to the brim, and it was.
How
it's
many
like
beers are
it's like
in your-
8% alcohol,
How many
which
beers
I've
are in?
had.
Tell me.
I've only had one. I'm fine.
I don't believe that shifty look.
Anyways, I think we should take this opportunity to say our goodbyes because we have definitely gone over an hour
It
tonight.
was fun. We had
It,
Moose on.
it was a great fun. I think we say our goodbyes and we move on to our post show.
Okay, so Indigo, where can we find you on the World Wide Web?
You can find me on a multitude of platforms. You can
Great,
find.
thanks, Doc. Where can we find you on the World Wide? Sorry.
I run the STOS Facebook page. I run the Q Times Facebook page, where you can message us, comment, or follow us on those two platforms. You can also comment on the YouTube videos, which I also look over. You can find me on Twitter at Indigo Jones QT. Also, you can find me on the _Q Times Twitter handle as well. So you can find me in any of those fun locations.
Krug, where can we find you?
You can find me at strange_tales on Twitter. You can find me STOS_Krug on Reddit. And you can find me at my email address, which is krug@qtimes.com. That's QUEETIMES.com.
And Monsieur Amer, where can we find you online?
You can find me at tweeting Damoose. That's DAMOOSE. You can find me on YouTube under youtube.com, the Damoose Gaming. No S in either of those. And if you look for me on Vine under Mayor Das Moose, I'm there now because I've already started doing a Vine series.
Yeah.
Wrecking Ball. I saw that.
Sorry.
That
I'm
was
sorry.
fun. So I'm going to be doing a lot of those because I got nothing else going on really.
And if you want to find me, it is DocQT on Twitter and HollowMosh on Reddit. I post the audio podcast of this every Tuesday-ish. And that is it for tonight for the podcast portion of Strange Tales from Outer Space. As always, I'm Doc and I have Indigo,
Bye, guys.
Krug,
Booty.
and for this week, Mayor Das Moose.
I miss you already.
Everybody have a great time and goodbye.